Hi, I'm Dave Cyderbaby. This is Rock Radio UK, and tonight I am speaking to the one and only Josh from Crooked Little Sons. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. Thank you for agreeing to chat with me tonight. You're looking well, relaxed and chilled and dapper with the hat on as well, I've got to say.
No, I'm all right. I'm glowing a little. I've just come out of the gym, so like, I'm still like sort of, you
Yeah.
know, still energized. Yeah, the endorphins are still going. This was happening an hour later. It'd have been a write off.
Oh, right. Was it leg day today? I always hate leg day.
It was, it was, haven't been for 3 weeks, so you need to get your ass back in there, Dave.
Ah, one of those.
Yeah,
Are you the
it was
one
a
that,
big, it was a big cardio day, really.
yeah, are you the one that suffers the next day or the day after?
Um, it depends what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like I was on a really, really good trajectory at the start of the year. Up until about mid-February, I was going pretty much every day. And
Mm.
that's the thing with the gym is it's not the gym bit isn't the hard bit. It's the consistency that's the hard
Yeah.
bit, you know?
Yeah. Life
So I
gets in
was
the
on
way.
yeah, yeah. And like I was doing all right and I was eating well and I was feeling good and I sort of have come off the wagon a little bit over the last sort of 3 weeks and boozing a lot more. And I feel like 2.5 months of work has been undone entirely in about three weeks. So I'm back at the bottom of the mountain now.
Yeah. Well, there is a reason for this outburst of or breakout from the
Mm.
I'm gonna lose track of my words in it. There is a reason for this. You've just
This
released an
wobble,
album. Yeah, this wobble.
yeah,
Yeah, this
yeah,
wobble. That's a
this
good word.
wobble.
You've just put out a new album. You've just done an album launch show.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, but to be fair, we did that on Friday. It can't take responsibility for the other 2 weeks. But I
it's a
appreciate you making
preparation.
it for me.
Anyway, let's step back a bit. I saw you guys play in Bristol. Oh, was it 2 years ago?
Was it the I Destroy show?
Yes, it was.
So that would have been, yeah, 2 years. Yeah, 20 April 22, something like that.
Yeah.
I want to
So
say.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, I was rather happy that I caught you as well because you're sort of like one of my new favorite bands at the time. So
Oh, thank you.
that's all right. I mean, there was some. My son took some cracking photos as well, which he shared, and
Yeah.
I haven't managed to get to see you since that day, even though you're a Southwest band.
Mm, mm,
I
yeah.
mean, were you based Exeter?
We're sort of based Exeter. I would say Exeter, yeah. I mean, so three of us are all originally from Exeter.
Right.
Barry now lives your way up in Bristol. Me and Marcus are both still reside in Exeter. And Lee, our drummer, is Kingsbridge way. So
Yeah.
it's a lot easier just to sort of say Southwest, or Devon. Because
Yeah. Well,
75% of us still reside in Devon. So
yeah, that's God's country. I mean, you can't knock it.
no, not at all. Not at all. I've said this so many times. I don't understand. There are people that have lived in Exeter and lived in surrounding areas all their lives, and they do indeed knock it. It's like you're not knocking Exeter, you're knocking your life. Like I've
Yeah.
been to Hull. You're like,
Yeah.
Exeter's nice.
All right. Just sidetracking a bit. The big scone debate.
Yeah. The big boss.
The
Yeah.
scone debate. Cream
Yeah.
first
Oh,
or
yeah. Yeah.
jam?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we know where I'm landing on this. All right. I'm
Good
going to
man.
land on the right side of the argument.
Good man. Good man. Right. Enough said about that. Let's talk about the album. Right. Regenerate. That came out on Friday, I believe.
Yeah. Friday just gone.
Yep. Tell me about the album. Is this your first? Is this? I believe it's not quite your first. You did a live album or something like that.
Well, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I forgot about that. We did do a live album, didn't we? All right, I suppose it's not technically our first, but it is our first release. Like it's our first official like album for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we wanted to sort of like like most bands, you don't come straight out the gate with an album. You want to record bits and put out EPs and put out singles and slowly drip feed your stuff until you've got an audience. And
Yeah.
um, we wanted to do that over a series of sort of like years. We wanted to take our first step out into Europe and stuff like that before releasing an album. Which I suppose we've done, but because we had this sort of like strict, because especially with the pandemic as well,
Mm.
like it just delayed things and delayed things, and like the recording process was a lot more elongated than we were expecting it to be. So just with like a couple of factors, our sort of like 6-year plan turned into a 10-year plan.
Okay.
So this is the debut album that should have been out pre 2020, really.
Yeah.
Although we didn't finish it until like 2022, but the aim was about 2020 to have an album out. So yeah, to have it out in 2024 is kind of like, it's just nice to actually finally have it out there and done. But yeah, that was, speaking of the pandemic, that was the first album. We released a live album simply because everybody got creative and everyone started doing all like, the live streams and things like that. And we were just like, well, our bread and butter is live performance.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do something that encapsulated that, and we were just lucky enough to have a bootleg sort of recording, and we thought, well, fuck it, let's do that. Let's put that out and put out a live album because Lord knows we wanted to put out something during lockdown to stop us all from going crazy.
Yeah. Fair comment. Fair comment.
Mm.
I suppose we'll talk about your sound, really. I mean, how would you describe your sound? I've got it as quite punky, edgy, but not pop punky or anything like that.
No,
It's
it's
more
definitely
traditional.
it's definitely punk and roll for sure.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
I would say punk and roll is definitely the phrase or the genre or the scene that I attribute it to most. I mean, we get like comparison. I mean, a lot of comparisons. Like, I mean, we get the Bronx and the Hives and Motorhead, which Motorhead was never one we were going for, but I'm super touched.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, yeah, a lot of people saying Motorhead, which is great. I think that just comes from Larry Stone on his bass. A
Right.
lot of heavier distortion comes from his bass, and yeah, I guess it does get a bit Lemmy-esque with some of the overdrives that he uses. Um, but yeah, I would say primarily punk and roll. I think might be in like a review or like a press pack or something. It's charming arrogance, slick noise, um, yeah, something to that effect.
Yeah. I think I
Yeah.
likened you to like a punkier Royal Republic. And
Oh yeah, I love Royal Republic.
yeah.
I love Royal Republic. Like I shouldn't like that much disco techno-y sort of sound in rock, but it's so good.
It works. It works so well.
Yeah,
I managed to speak to the guys actually last year because they headlined a festival I was at, and they're just so good. So such nice people as well.
what was the festival?
That was Fire Vault Festival in Stockport. I
Crazy.
helped
I saw them at Trees Festival last year or the year before.
year before.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, year before, and I remember saying to Marcus and Lee hadn't seen them before,
Right.
and we're all huge Hives fans, and I was like, oh, you got to come to Royal Republic, and I was like, right, it's a band from Sweden. They all wear the same thing on stage. They play rock and roll music, and it's not the Hives, and they were all like, fine, I'm sold. Let's go and check it out. And they were the same as me. Like they were like musically, like I wouldn't like it's not that it's a bad sound or anything like that.
No.
But like I say, some of those techno beats and some of those like 16 beats and like those grooves and stuff like that, it's just not normally the sort of music that lends itself to like what we listen to.
Mm.
Just were undeniably phenomenal.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
oh, what I mean? They were all of us walked away from it just like that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, big ups to Royal Republic. And I believe they've got a new album coming out or out
Yes,
at the minute.
7th of June, I believe that is. I think they're at download as well. I think it's the same day.
They are,
So,
they're on the Sunday, yeah.
yeah. Um, well, I mean, talking about sounds, I mean, you like the analogy of Motorhead, but I mean, when I listen to, I'm just checking my track notes here, Lungs, that's
Mm,
quite a bluesy record, bluesy rock and roll record, rather on the punkier edge.
yeah.
Lemmy's always said he always played the blues.
He did. There's a lot of records of him playing blues.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can see where you're coming out of here, and I do like Lungs because it just totally mixes up the album
Mm.
as
There's a
well.
couple of wild cards on the album for sure. Like you know, like like lungs. Like we're getting a lot of love for lungs at the minute, and lungs is
Yeah.
one of the oldest songs on the record. I
Right.
mean, I wrote that song about like an ex girlfriend, like way in like
Way back.
2016. Yeah, and like um yeah, like it's wild that like that's one that I don't know. I think what it is I like seventh chords. So adding a couple of cheeky seventh chords here and there makes it sound very bluesy.
Yeah.
But it was one of the earliest ones written for the record. It was very much like it was very deliberate. Like I was like I wanted something that was a ballad, but that was also heavy because I don't think it's not heavy by any
No.
stretch. I think it's still a very sort of like heavyish sort of
Mm.
like sound. Um, And yeah, like I'm really happy with how that one came out for sure. Because like you say, it does break up the record. And there are a few like that on there. I think even Regenerate, the title track, that's
Yes.
not usually a sort of sound that we would ever go for. But that was also deliberate as to why we called it the record, that we kind of wanted that sort of like break, that little bit of, it's not the record is not going to just be a one trick pony, you know.
Mm. Yeah. I believe 77 was the first single
uh
officially.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I would say I definitely wanted it to be the lead single, but I suppose like categorically
Mm.
speaking, Fire would be. But
Right. Okay.
Fire came out pretty much to the day about a year ago.
Right.
Like it was towards like the end of March that that track came out. So, and that was meant to be a call to arms. That was never meant to be the lead single. That was always meant to be like, you know, Crooked Little Sons are releasing something, and we figured that the record was going to be a few months down the line or whatever. We didn't think it was going to be like another year down the line. So,
Right.
um, it was cool to sort of like, you know, have it and have that one as the sort of call to arms. And then we released Blistered Soul, which
Mm.
is actually the oldest song on the record. That
Okay.
one did indeed come about in 2016. That is 8 years old. Um, and then 77 was released sort of more recently. So I guess it's probably the lead track on the album, but there are two songs from the album that have been out on like a year now. So
Mm. Okay. I mean, just going through it. I mean, there are 14 tracks, but the album's under 40 minutes long. So that gives you a feel of what kind of music. I mean, when you look at Lungs at 5 minutes, then you start thinking the average is coming right down then. I mean, we do
yeah,
have a sub 1 minute song. Obviously,
yeah,
you mentioned it, Fire.
yeah. Mm.
That, yeah, I mean, that's quite a
Still not the
hit.
shortest song we've ever done.
Okay. I mean, it's a quick hit to the solar plexus. Bam, you're right there. I mean, yeah, you just get the blood going really from the first opening bar of Young Eat the Old.
Mm.
And it doesn't stop until Let's Drink Again. And everything in between is just absolutely and utterly brilliant. I've been listening to the album all weekend. Um, if you were to pick, let's say, two tracks from the album that sums up Crooked Little Sons today,
Mm.
what two tracks would you pick?
77 for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying it's my favorite song on the album. It's just definitely like I thought that when we wrote it, when we wrote the album, because it came about so honestly, and it
Mm.
was one of the only times where it wasn't me coming in with like an idea or like a riff. It was very much like we were just sound checking and like trying to get levels in the practice room. He just went play something a minute, and I played that riff like not thinking about it at all. And then he was like, "What was that?" I went, "I don't know." And he went, "Do it again." Like it was one of those things where it's like, quick before we lose it, sort of thing. Like, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And it built and it built, and over that session, it was written in about 40 minutes, maybe an hour. Um, so because that was how honestly and quickly it came together, it just for me was like, well, this is clearly the benchmark for like us and where we're at and what we do. So 77 for sure.
Yeah.
And then second song. That's picking a second one. That'll be interesting. Um, I'd like to say Regenerate because obviously it's the title track, but
Yeah.
obviously it is a bit of a wild card. Maybe
Yeah.
Young Eat the Old, maybe like literally straight off the bat, like how we open the record. Probably Young Eat the Old, I would say. I
Yeah.
would say those two encapsulate what we do, like 80% of our sound. But listening to those 14 tracks, it's not like there's all of those tracks because 77 and Young Eat the Old are quite aggressive songs.
Yes.
And it's not like every song of those 14 songs are aggressive songs, you know?
Yeah. I particularly like Skin and Bones. That's got to be one
That's
of
a
my
crowd
favorites.
favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love playing that one as well. I like playing songs with a hook.
Yeah.
For me, like hooks are really important. Which is weird, but I then chose two songs that don't really have a hook for identifying our sound. But yeah, no, that was the same as like Thick. Like that's a old song that came out in like 2016, 2017, something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm still not bored of playing that song, like at all, because it's got a hook that like either people pick up on and they know it and they already love it, or if it's your first time seeing it, probably two runs in, you're gonna get that you know what you're saying, you know what you're singing.
Yeah.
So it just lends itself to that sort of thing. And Skin and Bones is definitely one of those songs in that bracket as well.
Lord of the Flies.
Yes,
I mean, yeah, just tell me a bit about that.
that's another one of those wild cards.
It is.
um, I would have liked it to have been a bit slower, actually. Like
All
really,
right.
really sort
Okay.
of like, yeah. Um, it was I don't even know how it came about. I think I wanted something that just I think that was one of those songs where I wasn't writing it sort of like with song in mind so much as like how it would work live. I
Mm,
was like, wouldn't it be quite cool to have sort of like that stomping sort of like really heavy sort of like thing going on? Kind of like an Icky Thumb type thing
yeah.
from by the White Stripes, but like slower.
Yeah.
I was like, if I did Icky Thumb, but like we slowed it right down, and it just became like this real sort of visceral thing. And then the intro lick was just something that I was like just playing around with, and I thought, okay, well they're both in E, so I can sort of am them together like that. Um, but like lyrically, it was one of those ones where like often I think some of my favorite songs are the ones where you don't necessarily have like one particular subject in mind or subject matter.
Mm,
That's why Regenerate's my favorite like song lyrically because
yeah.
it's just an emotion. But that one there, like I've got no fucking idea what I'm talking about. It's like if you're the first person in any of the sort of interviews leading up to this record we've done, no one's asked me about Lord of the Flies yet, so I'll just say
Okay.
no idea. I don't know what I'm on about. It's
All right. All right. To be a first every so often. Um,
yeah.
okay. So where was it all recorded to anyway? Where was it?
We recorded with our friend Fred Ansell, who is he's done like a lot of musical projects in the past. He was the keyboardist in the Computers for a long time.
Yeah.
He uh, also music isn't is like his main gig. He's running like 2 farms now as well. That was
Yeah.
one of the reasons that the recording process took so long. We went in the February of 2022
Right.
and did like 80% of the record, 90% of the record. And then those last bits that we needed to do, we sort of all had to be together to like get in there and do it and stuff like that. And he was like, "Listen, we can do that, but like it's the summertime now. I got 2 farms to run, and summertime is he's busy. He's a busy
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
So we had to jump back in there in September, and then after September, it was probably another year until we'd like mastered it and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a very long process, but it was also quite nice doing it not just close to home, but
Right.
also um, with somebody that we'd worked with before. Because Fred recorded our first EP, Hats and Rats, and he also recorded Thick and a couple of other bits. And it's just such a lovely space. Like there's a lot of other artists that like store gear down there and stuff like that, and it's just wandering. He's just got like he's one of those people that's just like you're talking to him about a pedal. He's like, oh yeah, I think I've got 3 of them in the back room. I'll check sort of thing. So, you're like a bit like a kid in a candy store, which was why it was nice having pre-production. We'd never really done any pre-production before. And at the time, I just thought like, well, we're just demoing these and then we're going to go back. But actually, it was really good to get in there and part some songs and change some songs. I think we recorded 16 songs. So,
Okay.
so yeah, only 2 B-sides to be released at a later date.
Fair enough. So what does the future hold for Crooked Little Sons?
Well, this year the future holds a fair bit. We've got a fair bit to announce that I can't say too much now because I don't know when this is
Nobody
going out.
listens. It's fine. It's absolutely fine.
I just didn't know when it was going out. Um, well, we'll be releasing a UK tour coming up.
Right.
We are currently booked in for our first shows in Ireland, which is cool. Um, we are going out to Europe in about 3 weeks, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Less than 3. Christ, it's 2 weeks. It's 19th today. 2 weeks. Um, 2 weeks we're going away to Europe for a little weekender. We'll be going back out to Europe before the end of the year and doing Germany. Like fully, we're doing a German date on this tour, but we're going to be doing Germany properly later on in the year.
Right.
And then your standard odd festivals and stuff like that, and that would take us up until winter time at the end of the year. And then there's guaranteed to be some Crooked Little Christmas shows on the horizon as well. So
Brilliant.
this year looks pretty good.
Excellent. Well, Josh, I've taken up enough of your time tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me, and I wish you all the very best with the new album. And hopefully, I will get to a tour or a gig or a date very soon.
We are in Bristol in April, so it'll be nice to see you there, brother.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much.